Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending. This is the how-to series of webinars. This is Manningham Business Network in collaboration with the State Government of Victoria, and we're putting together a series of webinars called the How-To series. It's about business recovery and growth after 2020. And today we have Pauline Fyffe, the Centre Manager from Park Orchards, talking with us about how to build the operations and procedures within your business, and so setting a new COVID normal for yourself and for your business. Pauline is the expert. I'm going to hand over to you. Pauline, welcome, and thank you, everybody.
I am the manager of the Park Orchards Community House and Learning Centre, and I'm going to be talking to you today about preparation and getting back to normal operations after COVID and in a COVID-safe way. So I am going to share my screen again with you. I have prepared some PowerPoints just with some information on them, and I've got a couple of little videos just to make it a bit more fun. But here we go. All right, so COVID normal, and what does that mean for our businesses? How do we prepare to go and operate in a space where we might have lockdowns at any minute, where with international travel, our day-to-day systems change. There are times when we wear masks, there are times when we're not wearing masks. So what do we do? How do we prepare and how do we operate? Okay, so preparation is key, particularly when you have staff, and even if it's just one other staff person, one other team member, it's absolutely critical that you are both on the same page. Now, I spoke a little earlier on a previous webinar about preparing your COVID-safe plan, which includes everything that you need to do in order to operate. And the benefit of doing that is it gives you clarity about what you're going to do in every circumstance surrounding your business, whether it's cleaning, hygiene, PPE, what to do if there's an outbreak, what to do if someone who works with you becomes unwell. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how we can prepare our teams to return to normal conditions. And the priority here is to meet with your team, have a discussion with them, but it's really critical to listen to different people's view and how they want to return to work, because people have had very different experiences of COVID. Some of your team members might be caring for elderly family members. They might have themselves, they might be at high risk, they might have medical conditions that put them at a greater risk that if they were to contract COVID, then their likelihood of becoming very unwell is greater. One of the other things that we need to talk to our team about is vaccinations as well, whether they are going to get vaccinated when they sit in the schedule. If you're working with a lot of young people in your team, they won't be receiving the vaccination until, maybe as late as October, November, it might even be next year. So there's a number of things that you need to discuss with your team, and that will depend on the type of work you do and how many you have in your team. I think it's critical that you offer your team infection control training. Now, this can be done online, and again, on the VicGov website, there's a lot of information about infection control, but there is an online infection control training module that anybody can do. It's free, you just log in. Once you're completed, you can get a certificate. I know in my organisation that I made it a requirement of my team to do the online infection control training. I gave each of my team members time during working hours to do that, just to reinforce how important it is that everybody on the team, everybody from staff, knows what are the risk factors for COVID and knows how to prevent or mitigate infection to the best of our ability. Another thing with your preparation and having your team come back is having all your personal protective equipment available, having it ready for the team to use and using it yourself. You might discuss with your team about whether you're going to have disposable masks or permanent masks, but having them available is critical. Having extra gloves, having extra cleaning products, and making sure that your cleaning products will actually kill viruses is another critical aspect to preparation, because what it does, not only does it kill the virus, but it also reassures your team that you are providing the safest environment for them to work in. Another lot of conversations you'll have with your team will be about bringing in their own key cups, for example, not sharing, consumables. You might move from having your tea bags in a jar where everybody puts their hand in to get their tea bag to individual tea bags. You might remove the kitchenette facility altogether, and you might direct your team to that they must bring in all of their own food, all of their own drink, and everything that they need. But these are discussions you're going to have, and this will be different depending on whether you have a large team or a small team. But again, it's being really clear with your communication with your team, really clear about what your expectations are, and listening to them and listening to what their concerns are. One of the great things is, again, the state government has a huge range of resources that are free to download and print out. There's signs around physical distancing, there's signs about sanitising, there's signs about not attending work if you're unwell, there's signs about wearing masks. And one of the great things that you can do in advance is to have all of that information printed and displayed before your team come back. Again, it's just a visual cue that will help remind them. Another thing that you'll need to do is have your business QR code ready to go. And you'll need to have that available at the entrance to the building when people come in. You might also have it printed out a number of other times. You know, if your entrance is an area that gets very wet, for example, and you don't have a covered space, it might be right inside the door. But having a number of QR codes available is going to make your team feel safer, and it will also be beneficial when your customers or your participants are coming back. These are all things that you need to prepare in order to reassure your team that you have this under control, you've got their back, and you are following every procedure and every protocol as directed. So I've just got a little video here for you about keeping health.
Australian workplaces have focused on work health and safety through COVID-19, and it doesn't stop here. Assessing and managing health and safety risks is an ongoing process that helps prevent and reduce the number and severity of workplace injuries and illnesses. Actively managing WHS risks promotes and improves health, well-being, work capacity, fosters innovation, and improves work quality and productivity. As the COVID-19 situation and your business practices change, review what you're doing to keep your workplace safe. You must talk to your workers, their health and safety representatives, and involve them in work health and safety decisions. Identify hazards. Consider what could happen if someone is exposed to a hazard and the likelihood of harm occurring. Assess existing, new, or change risks to health and safety from your work. Risks can be to physical or psychological health. Look out for new risks associated with changes to the work environment. Put control measures in place to manage the risks and regularly review them. You need to take all reasonable steps to eliminate or minimise risks to health and safety. For more information and resources, go to the website.
Yeah, so as I was saying, there are many, many resources available to help you get back to work and prepare safely. So the next thing that you need to prepare is your customers. You're in business, you have customers, they might be customers, they might be clients, they might be participants. But you need to let them know that you're open for business again. Whatever your social media channels are, or whether you want to do a print run, you need to let them know what they're going to expect when they return to see you face to face, because that again gives them surety. Preparing all the signage for customers so that they know what to do when they arrive at your premises. Again, download the signs if you're asking them to wear a mask, for example, or whether they need to sanitize their hands on arrival. You might need to have signage around how to access the QR code. You need signs about, you know, maybe previously people would just enter your facility. Now they might need to ring the bell. So all of those sorts of things, if you can have them printed out and on display, it will mean that your customers will have a lot more surety when they come back to engage with you. Make sure you've got your QR code at all entrances and in lots of obvious locations within the building. And let them know what you're doing to keep them safe. So particularly when they first start coming back to you, have your sanitizers on display, have your signage up, and you can even say to them, you know, this is what we're doing to keep you safe. We're cleaning touch points every 2 hours. We're sanitizing tables and chairs. We've increased our overall cleaning, you know, by 80% or whatever it is, but you need to prepare your customers to know what to expect when they come back. And then welcoming them back. So again, particularly, for example, if you're working or a lot of your work has people who aren't tech savvy, they might need assistance to access the QR code when arriving at the office. Some people's smartphones don't access QR codes. So what are you going to do for that? Are you going to use your own phone? Are you going to have an iPad available that can be used? Or are you going to have a paper-based copy as well? When people need assistance, you want that to be as easy as possible for your customers. You want them to become your repeat customers again. Another thing that you need to do with your customers is be very aware of what government directives are, what the current directives around mask wearing, around returning to office, around physical distancing. So you need to be aware of that and you need to be on the ball so that you can pass that information to your customers straight away. For example, with our snap lockdown on the 12th of February, you know, it really came from nowhere, and all of a sudden businesses that were, you know, preparing for Valentine's Day were just absolutely locked down. And then our return after that was about mask wearing, whereas previously we weren't wearing masks. So all of that information you need to be able to have ready to go so that you can share that with your customers, so they also feel confident that you know what you're doing. How are you going to ensure your physical distancing in the premises? So Manningham City Council have some fantastic floor markers that they will give you for free that you can put throughout your business, or you can just put them in areas where people tend to congregate. Again, these visual cues that help people remember what is expected. Again, what you want to do also in order to protect your customers and your staff is to limit movement throughout the premises wherever possible. You're doing this so that if there is an outbreak, if someone does come into your organisation who does have COVID-19, that your contact tracing is clear, but also that people are close contacts with each other. They might just be casual contacts because you have ensured that they weren't spending a lot of time together in very close contact. Again, reinforcing to your customers that they must practice good hygiene. They must use the sanitizer when they arrive. If they sneeze or cough, they need to do it into their elbow. And again, if they're not well, they need to know that they're not to attend at all. It's just part of where we're going with all of this. You're welcoming them back, and they will appreciate that if you're saying to them that they can't attend if they're unwell, you're also saying it to everybody. Oops. So I've got one more little video here. And just this will just highlight the differences, because again, when you're welcoming your customers back, It'll be very different if you're a big organisation, if you're a small organisation, if you normally have people come to your home, if you work from your home office, or if you're out going into other people's premises.
We can balance public health and economic stability. Returning to work as safely as possible is like driving. There's a shared responsibility for safety and multiple layers of safeguards to protect us. On the roads, we have lane lines, guardrails, stop signs. We'll need a new infrastructure like that at work. Barriers between desks, shields separating employees and customers, workflow redesign in factories. We also have rules of the road, like speed limits. We'll need new policies and procedures, like temperature checks, alternating work schedules, and frequent deep cleaning. And then there's your own behavior, like using your blinker or wearing your seatbelt. We'll need everyone's commitment to frequent hand washing, wearing masks, and staying at home if you have symptoms. The new normal won't be the same for every workplace. Driving on an 8-lane highway is different than cruising down a neighborhood street, but every workplace will need a new normal. Getting back to work without it is like everyone driving with a blindfold.
Okay, I think that video really highlights, particularly for us in Manningham, that there are going to be slightly different rules for different businesses, and getting your own business back to welcoming customers, getting your own team back, needs to be very specific and contextualised for your team. But there are other things to remember. Your customers might be anxious about re-engaging with you. And that's something that you might need to work on a one-on-one basis to allay people's fears, or work with them in a way that helps them feel safe about re-engaging with you. Your customer's financial situation may have changed due to lockdown. They may not need your usual service, or they might have other requirements that you can meet for them. People's situations have changed significantly over the past 12 months. And so re-engaging with your customers, with your participants, with your clients, might require a bit more time, a bit more energy, and a bit more listening before you can really meet their needs once again. The thing is that the changes that you made in lockdown to your operations might actually highlight a better way of doing things. And you now might be able to offer a broad range of services to your clients or your participants. Your ability to pivot during COVID has now given you another skill set, and that might be something that some of your participants might prefer. They might like how you were doing things during COVID, and they might not want to come back to that face-to-face engagement. But I guess that they're the things that I think are really critical in being prepared for getting back to business, and what we need to do operationally to ensure that our team, our participants, our customers are safe, and that people feel welcomed to our new business models. Thank you. I hope you found that interesting. I hope there were some pointers there that you may not have thought about, or some tips that might have clarified some ideas around getting back to your normal operation, or as normal as possible.